In the morning of June 17, 2020, with 90.68% of votes from National Assembly deputies, the National Assembly has approved the Law on Enterprise 2020, LDN 2020, which will take effect on January 1, 2021. Compared with the Law on Enterprises 2014, LDN 2020 has some changes, in which state agencies gradually renounce their binding to have autonomy for enterprises in using their own seals. From Mindset for Managing All. The provisions from the Private Enterprise Law 1990, the Enterprise Law 1999 and the Enterprise Law 2005 prove that Vietnam has already begun slow-moving steps of innovation, market opening.
The private sector.
Businesses and industries that are not owned or controlled by the government.
Seal.
An official mark on a document, sometimes made with wax, that shows that it is legal or has been officially approved. The thought of centralized economy, and that the state participates in economic management activities everywhere, including the private sector, still exists. Therefore, the state strictly regulates the management and use of the seal, considering the seal as an important object. For instance, Article 8 of Decree No. 58/2001 NDCP on the management and use of seals stipulates as follows: the Ministry of Public Security shall uniformly prescribe the specimens of seals of all types and the engraving of symbols or foreign languages on seals, grant seal engraving permits, keep seal specimens and grant seal specimen registration certificates, manage the seal engraving activities, inspect the management and use of seals and carry out other works according to the provisions of this decree. Afterwards, according to Article 36 of the Enterprise Law 2005 about the enterprise's seal. 1. Every enterprise shall have its own seal. Enterprises must keep and preserve their seals at their head offices. The design and contents of seals, conditions for making seals and regulations on seal usage shall comply with regulations of the government. Representative at law. Someone who speaks or does something officially for another person or group of people. Two. Seal is a property of an enterprise. The representative at law of an enterprise must be responsible for managing the use of its seal in accordance with the provisions of law. In case of necessity, an enterprise can have a duplicate of its seal if it obtains approval from the seal issuing agency. Accordingly, the seal is the property of enterprise, but the enterprise must register with the police agency. In order to use a second seal, the consent of the seal issuer, the police, is required. Thus, the seal from an information logger of the enterprise, such as the enterprise name, the enterprise number, becomes an object showing the legal position and affirming the legal validity of the documents and papers of the enterprise, agencies, organizations and businesses. Perhaps, the regulators think that it is necessary to strictly manage the seal to avoid objects using the seal for infringing purposes, or to rely on the seal to identify legitimate transactions. With this management, the state controls from the beginning. However, with the enhancement of legal value, if the seal is managed so strictly, it also causes barriers to the business operation of the enterprise. Because an enterprise has only one seal, if it requests for more, it must be really necessary and must get the approval of the seal issuer. Thereby, if the issuer does not accept, the enterprise may not engrave or use additional seals. Therefore, the inanimate seal naturally becomes a hindrance to the normal operation of the enterprise. The belief in the existence of the enterprise in the arising transactions is based on the seal, and the lack of a seal is considered as no implementation in business activities, no means to establish relevant legal relations. This issue also leads to many disputes and lawsuits related to the seal, but if opening space in the management and use of the seal, these unnecessary disputes do not arise.
Shareholder.
Shareholder means the individual or organization that holds at least a share of a joint stock company. General partner. A general partner shall be an individual whose liability for the company's obligations is equal to all of her assets. Capital contributors. A capital contributor can be an organization or an individual whose liability for the company's debts is equal to the promised capital contribution. Board of Directors. The group of people whose shareholders choose to manage a company or organization. Member Council equals Board of Members. The Board of Members is the supreme governing body of the company, consists of all members that are individuals and authorized representatives of members that are organizations. Typically, an internal dispute related to the seal that has been criminalized. Accordingly, in the 2000s, when the Huogi Joint Stock Company, Hanoi, was equitized, internal conflicts and disputes arose. A group of shareholders convened the general meeting of shareholders to remove the old board of directors and elect a new board. The parties brought the dispute to the court and the letter throughout the agencies. Thereafter, at the end of 2005, the People's Committee of Hanoi issued a document recognizing the new board of directors and requesting the old board to hand. Prosecute the case equals file of criminal charges. Decision on filing criminal charges. Decision on filing charges against suspects. The old board of directors did not accept and file a complaint. The dispute led to a climax when the police agency decided to prosecute the case of appropriation of the seal under the provisions of Article 268 of the Penal Code, ordered an urgent search to confiscate the seal, business registration certificate and all documents related to the legal status of the company. After a period of investigation, the case is suspended. In the early July 2019, Standing Deputy Prime Minister Trong Hoa Bine asked to re-examine the settlement process of the above-mentioned criminalization of the seal case.